That is 28%, almost 28% is just there. So I'm working about, say, 5, 10%. So my money is there. So do you think as a businessman, just purely as a business person, is it very encouraging? Is it very motivating? Is it worth taking the risk? There's a huge risk. There's no encouragement. There is no motivation. I'm supposed to accept an order at a lower price than what I'm going to pay. Does it make any business sense?
Doesn't.
See, you say it by whatever way you want to say. It's actually the question which he is asking is, and which many of you would have, that you are paying or you are borrowing capital for paying taxes. To that extent, you have taken the loan from the bank or from any other financial institution or from your peer group or whatever. That is a true position. That is the way this tax structure is built. So,
Sir.
Sir, I have one more clarification to ask.
yeah.
Is that the 7 days provision is not there for the IGST paid exports. In such case, the time starts after the GSTR 3, which happens on the 20th of next month. So if the 7 days provision is not there, the normal provision is, I believe, 60 days. So actually it could be up to 60 days from the 20th of next month.
When I have already said that IGST is not even a refund, the government will try to give it possibly in a day or two. If we intended to go beyond 7 days, we would have put some provision to, in the the system the way we have designed. We intend to do it there and then, and a final settlement.
So can I submit for future consideration?
Just 1 minute, just 1 minute. Let's understand one part. When you're talking of the GST regime, we're not talking only about the central taxes which are coming to you through the refund route. It's the central and state taxes put together. Practically majority of the indirect taxes are now a part of that. So what you're getting is much more. Yes, there is a cost of now the exemptions, the domestic tax exemptions on procurements have been withdrawn. That is why probably the working capital cost is talking about. No, let me finish, then I'll come back. Second, when you clear things on payment of IGST and you're taking refund of that has been made much faster. Your return is there and your EGM is there. It is practically taking the drawback route. And it is not coming to different authorities. In case of IGS, the ITC refund, I'll verify the exports from customs database, and then a CGST or a SGST officer will process that refund. As against that, at IGST, it is the customs guy, the minute EGM is available, a return is available, it is getting processed. So the time frame is actually getting reduced. And maybe because of this reduction in that entire, all the state taxes have also become the part of the tax chain. Most of the central taxes have become part of the tax chain. There's hardly any cascading left. That should actually bring down the base value. So competitiveness should not get affected. When you're saying for future, do share data. Let's get into the new scheme. Let's work in this new regime. If you still find there is cost data which is showing there are higher costs, maybe there is something to look at.
I'm not refusing to not to work under this regime. I'm very happy about it. But then when you think about it, compare the two scenarios. My 28% is stuck. My drawback is going to come later. My MIS script is going to get sold much later. So all these I've already accounted in my costing. Everything is accounted in my costing. In the earlier scenario, I was exporting under Form H and CT1. So I was not blocking this 28%. So even if I was working on a 10% margin, my drawback was 3% and script could be another advantage. So at least I was breaking even, or I was making some profit. Now here's a huge risk. Anything goes wrong in my tax compilation or whatever. As a human, I can make mistakes and something can happen. And it's a huge risk I'm going to carry. I'm going to sell a product at a loss and hoping that the government is very efficient and will convert into a profit and continue to hope. Isn't it a huge risk? As a businessman, then I would rather think I'm 100% export. It's 100% export.
So what suggestion? You were making a suggestion that for future, think about the future.
Yeah, I wanted to submit. Since you are you are replacing a certain exporters working. It was being worked under Form H and CT1 without paying of duty. I'm sure something can be worked out wherein similar bonds, similar debit credit bonds can be created, and we don't pay and we don't get credit.
Sir, even in cases of state taxes, we used to have Form E, for example, in UP, where we didn't have to pay any taxes. So, seconding what he's saying, we need to really look into a way where the exporter is not so heavily taxed and later has to claim the taxes back. The history, unfortunately, has not been very nice as far as claiming of taxes has been concerned. So we are always, as businessmen, afraid that what we are actually going to get ultimately is a question mark. Now there is also a question mark that tomorrow not only I make a mistake, even my supplier does not file his return or he does not pay the taxes. Again, my money stuck. So
Okay, I understand, but these are some of these are hypothetical apprehensions. Let's not accept in a real business situation how many suppliers would sustain not complying and still be in business on a continuous basis. I don't think it exists. That's the reason we have brought in a rating system. The compliance rating of the suppliers is going to be available in public domain. The idea is that I deal with the right highly rated suppliers. So some of these, that pain that we have to establish the chain and therefore no exemption is a reality.
Sir.
Okay. Within that, Tejpal has already mentioned, we have tried our best to build up a system where there is a shorter period. This is an improvement actually where we are saying that if you pay IGST along with the shipping bill itself, it will be given, the IGST will be refunded. Okay. The trust deficit, if you look at, all my refunds used to be physical refunds. Okay, the applications were physical, there was processing physical. It has been made, interface has been made electronic. Interface is not physical at all. It's the machine which is counting the days and the interest component. So, for a minute, I understand where you're coming from, but have some trust in the system. We're trying to build up a system and make success out of it. If we don't want to make a success out of it, obviously, yes, I can understand there'll be delays and there'll be denials.
No,
But
sir.
that's not the intention.
Sir, no doubt about the system, no doubt about the
No,
seeking
sir. The costing part is yes, accepted.
But yes, as a 100% exporter now, I am going to review as a businessman. As a business person, I put in money
So
to make money.
I'll only request that please share the cost data as to how much
Sir.
additional it has went to. I'm not talking of the apprehensions part of it, the risk part of it. I'm
Sir.
saying in terms of costing, presuming that everything is going smoothly, everything is coming as per the timelines given, then what impact does it have in cost?
Sir,
I agree, there will be savings. I agree, there will be savings.
Let us continue with another one.
Sir,
Yes, please.
sir,
Yes, please.
first of all, I'd like to thank EPC for bringing you here. I'm very pleased to see the Ma'am Chief Commissioner here, additional DGFT is here. And, you know, the reason is the operational people are here as well as Mr. Singh is here for the planning things. So I would like to give some comments here, which we have been listening and talking to a lot of people here, which will give you the scenario of the exporters. We people are definitely frustrated. And one single liner we have here with the GSTs, it's friendly for the domestic markets and it is really not friendly for the exporters. Mr. Commissioner Garg says that it would be, we hope it would be. We heard for the VAT and we still have 3 years of VAT lying with the Delhi government despite of Mr. Kejriwal there. You said we should apply for supplementary claims. If you go to the ground realities, you would know what happens when you anything files from the, on paper in the departments of customs or anything. I have seen the time when we used to apply for the on green form for the custom refunds and why all these things were taken care on such a long period of time, evolved in 15 years. It looks like all those 15 years of efforts have been wiped out in one single page of your this clarification, which I think is more dangerous than anything else. And I would like to come with all these points first of all. In this letter descriptions, you have said that there was a certain people here who do not ship, who were not registered with excise. They were required to give only one declaration. We are not registered with SENVET. We have not taken any benefit of the excise duties. and our duty drawback was processed. Of course, it would take time. You talked about the machines. I'm just giving you an underliner that machines process. You can have a reply on your computer. EGM is not filed. Provide your BRC and other thing. Unless your custom agent is handling the people properly, your drawback still gets stuck up in the past times. Let us be very factual on the ground reality. I'm telling it, it's out of the records. Now, you say I go to my region officer and get a certificate from him that I have not used any SGST or GST. How is he going to give me that? He is going to see all my records. He is going to check my stocks, and then he's going to give me certificates. Why, bhai? मैंने कौन सी ऐसा डकैती डाल ली है? The goods which I have as on 30th of June, you have given trans 1, trans 2, subscribe another form. Let me file a return. These are the goods lying to me before 30th of June. And your system will automatically cover it. Why you are subjecting me to the discretionary powers? आज की डेट में 10,000 रुपए से ज़्यादा तो मैं कैश वैसे भी खर्च नहीं कर सकता. And when I spend anything in a reverse charge, in my books I have to pay 18% service tax. Then the liaison officer will be involved. How would you handle? Are we cleaning system or we are expanding system into something else? This is for the ma'am to understand what is the ground reality in your factors. I am not registered with Senvet. I go to my excise and I say to the department, "Sir, मेरे को form दे दीजिए. I am not registered." पहले तो मैं Senvet से registered नहीं था तो फिर भी register देख के दे देते थे after whatever they would do. अब क्यों दे देंगे? How would I justify them? Do I export? I do this thing. Right, this gentleman said 28% तो वहाँ फंसा दूँ, ऊपर से यहाँ पे भी मैं अपनी मार खाता रहूँ. Now I come back to sir. So that is why this description says that certificate was prevalent before, and I beg to differ that in certain cases the certificate from judicial officers was not required. So this declaration is not completely correct. Now I come to the another provision for the policies. Sir, why do you need a bond or a letter of authority, LUT? You said that when I ship from my system, your custom system is already attached with your GST system. When I make an invoice, and after 2-3 months there will be e-waste things also available, it will be automatically connected. And you already said, I would only get a credit once I find my return. Once I file my return, everything is traced to the end. Then why do we need bond? Why do I need to go to your officer and say, give me a bond? Why do you give authority to your commissioner to decide whether he is a genuine person or not a genuine person? Why should a person who is not able to export 1 crore, he is not a honest person? He should pay 15% of bond there. What harassments and corruptions are we seeding in our system? Sir, this is a ground reality. And your system, for what material difference? Material difference is that only from the GST is on supply of goods. So what is the difference? From my warehouse, sir, मैं complete कर लूँ, I'm frustrated. एक मिनट फिर. See, I'm taking the liberty of being heard by certain authorities who are in DGFT and who are in operations. This is nothing personal for anything. It would allow you to give the inputs of the frustrations we people are going through. What I am saying, sir, there is no material difference we are getting. Once I move goods from my warehouse to the custom, this is the only time gap in between you are asking for LUT and bond. और अगर किसी ने चोरी करनी है ना, सर वो चलान के ऊपर जॉब वर्क पे भी भेज के कर लेगा, वो एक्सपोर्ट में क्यों करेगा? तो मुझे लगता है, frankly, some of these facts have not been really thought over and vis-a-vis the ground reality. And whether you people can change it, modify it, or put it to the right authorities to change it, kindly do it, looking into our miseries. Thank you.
We are the second largest $12 billion exports. We're targeting 70 billion in the next 3 years or 4 years. Our industry has been subjugated to a cash flow crunch of the highest magnitude under GST for exporting it people. Exports are not found to be favored now under the new GST regime. If you take the example of two of us sitting here, we export more than 50% of our turnover. And what is happening now is that the refunds, not the refunds, but the cash inputs that we're getting, 12.5% input, 12.5% output. Now the input is at 18 and the output is at 28, which means now we have to bring in additional, in his case about 1 crore rupees a month, in my case about nearly 1 crore rupees a month, just to pay those GSTs. So, I mean, you know, these are things that have to be really thought out over even for organized sectors in exports, which have not been thought over. And these are underlying things which have been going on for about 20, 25 years. And yet, we now, our working capital expanded by about 1 crore rupees a month. So we have to really think these over, and I'd like to make a submission on this case, please. Thank you.
Sir, you would like to?
No, I think that's something which we have been conceding. Yes, there is a change. There is a fundamental change because the procurement for exports has gone out of exemption limit. So it has had an impact. It's not that government is not conscious. Okay, a lot of discussion has gone in the past. A lot of discussion is going on. What's going to be the outcome is not. It's not known to anybody. But what I was saying was, please work out those. The numbers are going to be relevant. Numbers are, because now since it's a real world situation, it is already operational. One should get the numbers.
Actually, you can, but you know there is a thought process in the government, and that is that this additional requirement, it doesn't get repeated over every month. It is only the first month which gets blocked.
The cycle.
Then it's a cycle where you. No. What I'm trying to say is, in some commodity it is 1, in some it could be 4, in some it could be 8 months. But after a cycle sets in, the initial cost to an entrepreneur is only for that cycle. Then it comes into the cycle. That is how it works.
Sir,
inputs that we are, this is pure exports, we export all over the world, you know, and in manufacture all going to OEMs. 18% is our input, all our raw materials, and export and domestic sale is at 28%, so we also sell to Maruti and Honda. But more than 50% of our production is exported. And here is a classic mismatch which has come around in cash flows. And
Sir,
where do we go?
Sir, to add
Start borrowing
to this,
money?
I'll give you a simple
See,
issue on this.
I thought
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
just, before Pradeep. As far as the export goes at 28%, you need not pay on
No, I'm
28%.
not paying, but when I clear goods for Maruti and Honda and Yamaha, I have to pay 28%. GST, IGST. Of course, we have to pay 28% IGST to when you supply as OEM.
We're getting into the structure, the rate structure issue.
Now, fitment issue, we are getting into it now.
Sir,
Well, this is part of the GST changes, sir. So now, you know, you have to consider this when you made, such. Okay, you got a guy who's buying at 18 and selling at 18 is no
There is
issue.
no end to it. Let's accept one reality. If such variations, the minute you get into a multi-rate structure, this is bound to happen.
Well, you subjected the second most largest exporting association to the biggest mismatch which is going on.
No, I'm
18%
sorry.
inputs
It
and
is
export.
not that we have subjected the exporting sector. We have tried to keep the same genre. So the automobile parts have gone with the automobiles, and that's the rate. The rate is 28%.
Well,
Sir,
the
Okay,
inputs
so
were
it's
at,
not a targeted thing on a particular.
sir,
Sir,
it was
sir,
12.5%
as far
input
as
and
the-
12.5% output.
As far as the financial is concerned, I can tell you, in our case, just a moment, please. In our case, we have got a very good bank account. In case of my company, it's a very good bank account. The bank has no doubt. It has been 4 months. I have not asked for one rupee limit to be increased. It is 4 months, and renewal has not been done. I'm not talking of increasing my limits. Here under GST, I will be wanting to increase my limits. Can you imagine the time period that they are going to take to increase my limits when renewal at not a rupee increase? My profitabilities are there. Everything is perfect. CRR is perfect. They say it's very good, but 4 months only for renewal. So when I go to the bank, to the same bank, and I'll say, okay, now I need for GST deposits, I need more money. I don't know if they're going to take another 6 or 8 months. So it is suddenly this burden which is going to come. For 1 cycle or 2 cycle, like you said, for some 1 month, 2 months, 8 months, the amount of money that will be required, and then the bank may ask for additional collaterals. They may ask for many more things, and that maybe somebody may not have that. So it is going to hurt the business.
There's no denying the fact that there is a cost impact. There is a
I'm
process
not talking of
impact.
cost impact, sir.
No,
The cost impact.
yeah,
The businessman will one or the other time, get into the cost implication.
Okay,
Here the
let me-
problem is
Let me
structural
just
problem which
answer,
is there.
because for last 1 year we have been kind of agitating. At one time I was on your side when we started it, and we said that this is what is going to happen. Because after all, it was not a rocket science for us to understand. Even if we are not in the business, we knew that this will be an additional cost. But this is something which is not a showstopper. It is not very fundamental to GST that it cannot be worked out. You, as a business community, have a right to continue to give a representation and government. And if you have a suggestion, please give that suggestion. We'll take that on board. The government is open on these issues. It is not something that this is something which is completely not, we are not able to understand it or absorb it or understand that there is an additional cost to the exporter. We are completely understand, but as my colleague said, that please let us know the costing, because what we possibly had in mind is, I'll tell you that when some of the state governments were giving, and many of you would agree that their VAT refund won't even come for 1 year or 2 year or 3 year. There were entry tax, there were octroys, they were not built into refund for an exporter. We thought we will kind of give very lump sum, all tax inclusive as a refund. We knew that there is a trust deficit besides automation, trust deficit on account of refund. Many people said that we know how the refund comes. I know why you are speaking so, rightly so. We do not have any quarrel with that. But in the law itself we said, this 90% provision. In the law itself we said within 60 days. In the law itself, a law means the act of the parliament. It is now not based on a tax inspector's wish or will that he can delay it. But please allow us to, or see yourself how the system works, how the automation works. We have come with a new law where new provisions have been put into it. Earlier, such strict refund provisions were not there as a part of the law. You would find them in some circular, some notification, some rules. Now they are by an act of parliament. They are there in the main CGST Act. Many of those things, maybe if you will work, you will find, once you get used to the new taxation, that even economically, India's business becomes more competitive. What ECMA is saying, I mean, it had been endeavor of heavy industry department to make India as a hub for automobile components. So, I mean, we are completely a holistic government, not that we do not know what are our objectives. When we want to achieve the $70 billion of an export, it will not be intention of the government to hurt a particular sector. And then nobody would move with that. The only intention we move with that is how to make Indian manufacturing more competitive. That is the only objective. Please.
Sir, one more question.
Taking from what Sunil said, on the one side we have this inverted duty structure which he talked about. On the other hand, we buy, for example, my company, we buy stamped metal parts which come under Chapter 73. We make auto components which are Chapter 87. For some odd reason, it's being insisted that because we are buying the stamped metal parts for manufacturing auto components, they have to be bought in at 28% GST. Now this is impacting the small vendors who are supplying us, because they have suddenly this 10% deficit, which for them means a huge amount which they can't even last out for 2 months to cover it. So this is another problem which we are facing.
So it relates to the same issue of these duty structure. So probably, we need to put in, like he said, We need to put in our industry-wise issues where the problem is very harsh or very typical. So if you can, I think, probably send some representation, then as a EPC, we can put this representation forward, because that's really something which is already in the law. So we'll have to
Also,
get
if
that.
you can bring it out before the fitment committee. Fitment committee in central government is a body responsible for these structural anomalies. If you think that they are, if you are able to bring that out clearly, as they are bringing it out. So I think, yeah, that would be helpful.
Anybody else? Yes,
Sir, I have one question related with EOU procedure. I have one unit in DTA and I have one unit in EOU with the same PAN in the one state. So I should work separately registration, or should merge the both unit under one registration? And what about the input tax credit lying in both unit? And what will be the procedure of imported goods without payment of duty?
Okay, so you have a unit in DTA and one unit EOU within
Under-
the same state?
Same state and same PAN number.
Same PAN number.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you want to make out a case for a different business vertical, you can opt for 2 registrations,
Okay.
right? But if they are exactly same, then you can have, but in any case, because for your EOU, you will be operating, so it will qualify to be under that section 18 for this a different business vertical. So I would advise that opt for 2 registrations here.
Right, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yes.
My company, we are into 100% exports. And as you said that for a refund, if we pay IGST, then it is more easy and more comfortable rather than applying for a complete file and then go for the application. So could you please advise me how we pay IGST?
Oh, when you clear your goods
Yeah.
on export,
Yeah.
for export, you pay IGST on your export goods,
Okay.
right? And then your shipping bill itself becomes your application for a refund.
Right.
So the moment you file your returns, maybe within a day or two, your whatever you have paid the amount will be credited to your bank account.
Fine. So small query. I buy the products from my suppliers. I pay them 28% SGST, CGST. Then I export. Then I pay to the custom 28% IGST. So how much amount I get back?
No, whatever amount you pay as IGST, only that you get back, right?
Then what about that amount which I paid to my suppliers? Is it?
No, that you would have utilized. No, you actually don't pay from your pocket, right?
That means I pay 2 times this tax.
No. Please understand it.
Then,
When from your supplier you have taken your goods,
yeah.
it is in your electronic credit ledger. So when you pay IGST to so-called customs, it doesn't go to customs. But for your understanding, you are not paying again from your pocket. Whatever that 28% lying with you in your electronic credit ledger, you will utilize that amount for payment, right?
And the difference?
The difference mostly because there is a value addition.
Yeah.
So only you will have to pay.
So that amount also again I have to pay.
Don't say again. Let's.
No. 20. See, the thing is, if I have an addition of 10%, so then I'll be paying the tax 28% on that addition. 10%.
Sorry to intervene.
Yeah.
This is an understanding issue. I would request you that after, because there will be a lot of policy issues which will be here. He can, Mr. Beswar, or there will be a lot more people.
Fine.
Sir.
Sir, there is one issue. What is happening just now is that once we issue an invoice in UP, within 2 days we must send out the material. So my problem is now I have to make 3 invoices for the same exports. One invoice is to register to create a shipping bill in the customs. Second time to send it along with the truck. And the third is to send it to the customer. How do I work this out? You see, first invoice I have to send to the custom to create a shipping bill and to give it to the CHA to create a carting order, etc., etc. Number
It is
one.
IGST invoice we call
No,
it.
that is not. That was pre-invoice. We used to call it pre-invoice. Custom invoice. Now second would be GST invoice, which I would be issuing when I am sending out the goods. The third will be the commercial invoice, which I will be sending it to the customer.
which is nothing but your finalization of your pre-invoice only. Based on whatever commodity, whatever quantity has got shipped out,
I'll
that
be-
the
I'll be
pre-invoice
issuing-
only you'll be issuing as a final invoice.
No, but in customs, then I have 3 invoices now.
Yeah,
Sir-
the normal circumstances will be 2 set of invoices. but I understand.
Only two.
No, no. First invoice.
Only
first-
two होगा sir. Only two is there. Sir,
No, no, the truck, when I'm sending out the goods,
sir, आप
when
GST
I'm-
इनवाइस भेजेंगे.
when I'm sending out the goods, there are 4 trucks which are going. So for each truck, I need a separate invoice.
Okay, 4 invoice you have sent and raise the 1 commercial invoice for filing the shipping bill.
I'll discuss it later.
हाँ?
If it's clear. I'll
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन ये था हेलो मेरा एक क्वेश्चन ये था कि मेरा कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिस दिल्ली में है, मेरे ब्रांचेज जो प्लांट है वो 3-4 स्टेटों में है. अब मैं कमर्शियल इनवाइस दिल्ली से बनाता हूँ, प्लांट से निकलता है मेरा जीएसटी इनवाइस, तो कमर्शियल इनवाइस के बेस पर शिपिंग बिल फाइल होगा. शिपिंग बिल में एक्सपोर्टर के एड्रेस की जगह पर दिल्ली का एड्रेस आएगा, ना कि प्लांट का. तो जीएसटीएन में वो कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट करेगा कि प्लांट का जो लोकेशन है, स्टेट है, वो स्टेट का एड्रेस नहीं आया.
जीएसटी इनवॉइस में तो आपका प्लांट का
जीएसटी इनवाइस में है, लेकिन कमर्शियल इनवाइस के बेस पे फाइल हुआ है.
कमर्शियल इनवॉइस में जीएसटी
नहीं
से क्या
तो मैं अपनी, क्योंकि मेरी एलसी सारी जो है यहाँ कॉर्पोरेट
See,
में आ रही है.
in the shipping bill, if the GST invoice differs from the commercial invoice, then you have to give reference of both the invoices.
रेफरेंस रहेगा उसमें, लेकिन सर एक्सपोर्टर के एड्रेस की जगह पे प्लांट का, जैसे मेरा छत्तीसगढ़